Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Tar Heel Open Enrollment 2022 webinar. This webinar will be available for our UNC employees to log into it on tomorrow morning. However, we wanted to share this with human resource professionals first, as you will be an additional resource for our UNC employees during open enrollment. Open enrollment is the time where UNC Chapel Hill employees have the opportunity to view benefit plan options and make the best decision for their benefits for the upcoming new year or year 2022. So today we are going to just give you some highlights on some of the changes that's happening with the state health plan, the NCFlex, and the UNC benefit plans. Next slide, please. So this is our agenda today. Of course, we'll talk about the open enrollment dates. We're going from the same thing we did last year: prepare, decide, act. We'll talk about some of the benefits that's available this year, as well as some of the highlights and changes to those benefits. Again, we will provide you resources where you and your employees can reach out to us or the state health plan for assistance. We will not be giving you the open enrollment step-by-step guide instructions today. However, we will provide the website where you can find those instructions. Next slide. So, open enrollment 2022, we are at it again. This year, the North Carolina State Health Plan has given us about 3 weeks to make our benefit decisions and enroll in benefit plans. So the open enrollment dates for this year will be 11 October through 29 October 2021. So we encourage you to encourage your employees to review all of the materials that they receive from the North Carolina State Health Plan, from NCFlex state insurance plans, as well as from UNC Chapel Hill. So let's get prepared. Again, encourage you and your employees to read any mail that you receive from UNC Chapel Hill, the North Carolina State Health Plan, and NCFlex, so that you as an employee and HR consultant or HR professional will know the choices that are available during open enrollment 2022. And we'll have an opportunity to look at those plans and compare those plans and make a choice on which plans will be best to serve our employees' needs into the new plan year. So again, on deciding which plans will be best for you or your employee for the new plan year, we ask that you go beyond health insurance. There are a variety of other plans that's available out there for employees that might serve their needs, as well as health insurance. We will talk about some of the flexible spending accounts, what will happen this year, and some of the changes that we've experienced during the during the new year for the flexible spending account. And make sure that if your employees are enrolled in any life insurance, that they have beneficiaries listed, because that is very important. If something should happen, we want the employees' benefits to go to whomever they desire those benefits to go to. So we encourage everyone to update their benefits during this time as well. So open enrollment is going to require some action on our employees' part this year. We will talk about what particular plans in which we must act on in order to be covered. But we just want you to know that action is required in order to have a healthy open enrollment for 2022. So, current participants who are currently enrolled in either the 70-30 or the 80-20 PPO plan will default to the 70-30 PPO plan. So that means if you want to be enrolled in the 80/20 PPO plan, you must log in to your eBenefits portal through Connect Carolina and enroll in the 80/20 plan. If you think that you want to remain on the 70/30 plan, you still must, it still requires some action from you or from the employee, because if you don't log in and attest that you do or do not use tobacco products, then you won't save that $60 per month. So even if you decided that you want to remain on the 70/30 PPO plan, you must log in and attest that you either use or do not use tobacco products and move forward with that. You must also re-enroll to make contributions to a flexible spending account. Even though you are enrolled in a flexible spending account for this plan year, that enrollment will end on December 31st, 2021. Now we'll talk about what will happen with your contributions in those accounts a little later. However, if you want to continue contributing to either a healthcare flexible spending account or a dependent daycare flexible spending account, you must re-enroll each year. So we want to remind you, when you are enrolling in a plan, or if you are changing or updating any plans that you currently have, if you are adding dependents for the first time, you must also upload verification documents. We have a list of those documents that are acceptable by the North Carolina State Health Plan listed on our website. So please remind your employees that if they are adding a dependent, they must also add verification documents as well. Okay, so tobacco attestation requires action from employees, benefits eligible employees every year. The same this year. So if you want to lower your premium by $60 a month, again, if you are enrolling in either the 70/30 or the 80/20 PPO plan, you must attest to tobacco attestation during that enrollment. So if you use tobacco and you say that you use tobacco, then there's another step that's available to you to help you save that $60 a month. You can commit to a tobacco cessation session at a CVS MinuteClinic or a primary care provider for free and still get your $60 a month. Now you have until October 29th to actually attest that you do or do not use tobacco. However, if you are going to attend a tobacco cessation session, you actually have until November 30th to actually complete that tobacco cessation session. Again, you can do so at any CVS MinuteClinic or a primary care provider. It does not necessarily have to be your primary care provider. Any primary care provider that offers those services, you can utilize for your tobacco cessation session. Thank you. So, as I mentioned earlier, your tobacco attestation or your tobacco cessation session can be completed anywhere from now through November 30th of 2021. You can attend a CVS MinuteClinic or a primary care provider to attend your tobacco cessation counseling session. You only have to attend one counseling session to get your premium credit. This year, the North Carolina State Health Plan will not grant exceptions for someone who's not living near a CVS. And the reason is because you can now complete your tobacco cessation session with a primary care provider. So no, there will be no exceptions granted for not living near a CVS this year. So the North Carolina State Health Plan will be tracking those who complete tobacco cessation sessions through a claims process. So if you do not receive, they will notify those who they've received credit for through email or through letters that will go out to members weekly. We encourage you to upload your office visit summary to the document center that's located in your e-benefits system, plan enrollment system, so that you can ensure that you get credit for completing your tobacco cessation session and also receive your $60 per month premium credit. Okay. So good news and bad news. The good news, I can say there's not a lot of changes in premium rates for plans this year. However, there are premium changes to the dental plan premium rates. The dental plans for 2022 have increased from 2021. I don't know if you remember, but in 2020, the premium rates, in 2021, the premium rates were increased. In 2020, I think they remained the same. However, they have increased for 2022. So I encourage you and your employees to go out on our website and look at the changes so that if an employee is not sure that they want to pay that much, for example, if they're in the high option plan, you can see that the high option plan increased by quite a bit of amount. So if the employee is not sure that they want to continue to pay that cost, then they will be able to change their plan to a lower plan that may better suit their needs with a lower plan cost. So there are quite a few changes this year in the both the healthcare flexible spending account and the dependent daycare flexible spending account. The annual maximum election amount for the healthcare flexible spending account remains the same, $2,750 per employee. So that means if you and your spouse both work for the state of North Carolina, you can each contribute up to $2,750 per year in the healthcare flexible spending account. Now, the annual rollover amounts for going from 2021 into 2022 have changed significantly. And that is because the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic has allowed larger amounts to roll over with the healthcare flexible spending account, as well as a longer time to use the funds. So, but for 2022 to 2023, everything will return to normal, where the maximum rollover amount will be $550. However, going from 2021 into 2022, whatever you have in your 2021 healthcare flexible spending account funds, the entire amount will roll over. That includes any amount that you may have had left in your 2020 account as well. However, again, employees must re-enroll if you want to continue to contribute to the healthcare flexible spending account. You do not have to re-enroll if you have funds remaining in your 2020 or 2021 account and you want to use those funds. You are not required to re-enroll in the healthcare flexible spending account to use those funds. You just have to re-enroll if you want to add additional contributions to your healthcare flexible spending account. So the healthcare flexible spending account highlights for 2022 are employees cannot use your current funds for prior year expenses. So what does that mean? If you have expenses from 2020, you cannot use your current funds or your funds that you are electing in 2022 to pay for those expenses. If you do so, P&A will or may freeze your account, and they will not unfreeze your account until the claims have been paid back or claims that are incurred in the current year and they have been filed and they equal what is owed. So how can we use those funds that are in our previous account? The P&A group, along with the Consolidated Appropriations Act, have extended some what they call run out periods for you to file claims. So for the funds that you currently have in your 2020 account, you have actually until April 30th of 2022 to use those funds. You can, to use those funds, your claims must, your expenses must have occurred in 2020. So you can go back and do a retro claim for any funds that you have in your 2020 account if you haven't done so, and you have until April of 2022 to use those funds. For the 2021 and 2022 accounts, you actually have until March 31st of 2023 to use those funds. So again, if you are claiming expenses from the year of 2021, you have until March 31st to do so of 2023. And if you are filing any claims from the upcoming year, if you are enrolled in a healthcare flexible spending account, you have also until March 31st of 2023 to use those funds as well. So there also have been some changes with the dependent daycare flexible spending account due to the COVID-19 pandemic. What has not changed is the annual maximum election amount of $5,000 per household per year. So what that means is you and your spouse both work for the state of North Carolina, you can only set aside up to $5,000 per household towards any dependent daycare or elderly daycare if that's your status. Okay. Employees can use daycare change as a qualifying life event to make any mid-year changes. So, for example, if your daycare was closed because of COVID, and now your daycare has opened up, that is considered a daycare change or a life event change. So you can now enroll in the daycare flexible spending account and start to contribute for the remainder of the year. Now, if you are just enrolled, you cannot retroactively go back and file claims for this year unless you still have funds in your dependent daycare flexible spending account. But if you're just enrolling for this year, you can only use those funds to move forward and you cannot go back. Okay. So services incurred after separation. So if you are separating anytime soon and you have funds that are left in your dependent daycare flexible spending account, you can be reimbursed those funds up to your available balance amount that's in your account. Not the amount that you have chosen to be deducted from your pay, but what's actually in your account, you can be reimbursed for those funds that are actually in your account. Now, the dependent daycare flexible spending account, while it does not have a rollover or rollover period, they do have a grace period. And a grace period is simply the amount of time that P&A group gives employees to both incur expenses and use those funds for those expenses that has been incurred. So the grace period for 2020 account has been extended to 12/31/2021. So that means that if you had funds in your 2020 dependent daycare flexible spending account, you have until December of this year to both incur expenses and use those funds for those expenses in that account. Okay, and the grace period for 2021 account has been extended to December 31st of 2022. So you have until December of 2022 to incur expenses for your 2021 account. So along with the grace period for the dependent daycare flexible spending account, there are also run-out periods that has been extended as well. And the run-out period, again, is just the last day that you can file claims on those expenses. So for the 2020 accounts, April 30th, 2022 is the last day that you can file a claim on any funds that you have left in your dependent daycare flexible spending account for 2020. You have until December 31st to incur expenses. So you can incur expenses from for your 2020 daycare flexible spending account all the way through the end of this year. And you have until April of 2022 to actually file claims on those expenses. For expenses for the 2021 and 2022 accounts, you actually have until March of 31st of 2023 to file claims on those expenses. You have from January 2022 to December 2023 to incur any expenses on your 2022 funds. But again, to incur expenses on 2022 funds, you must be contributing to that. But if you have funds left in your 2021 account, you have through December of next year to actually incur expenses on those funds. Okay. So the run-out periods and rollover funds, not allowing funds to be used again in the current year. So for example, if you are filing claims for 2021 or 2020 on your dependent daycare, you actually have until April 22 to file those claims, but you can only use the funds that are in your 2020 account. You cannot use your funds for 2021 or 2022 to file claims on 2020. Okay. The way the P&A group uses is if you file a claim within this year, they are going to use your current year's expenses prior to rolling over your rollover funds being used. So again, what P&A will do when you file your claim, they will take the funds from your current expenses, and then when you can file a claim on your prior expenses retroactively. So if you have a claim for 2021, or they are going to use those current year expenses first. If you're filing a claim for 2021 and 2020, they're going to use the claims for 2021 first, and then they will go back and use your claims for 2020, if that makes sense to you. Okay. Next slide. So you cannot prepay for services with any other flexible spending account. For example, if you know that you are going to have maybe some dental work done, maybe some orthodontia work, and you go to your orthodontist and they say, hey, if you pay all of it up front, you can get a discount. Well, you can do that if you're paying out of pocket, but if you plan to use your flexible spending account, you cannot do that, because the flexible spending account wants you to use, they want to ensure that you are using those funds that are available in that current year for your current year expenses. So they do not allow you to prepay for services and then retroactively go back and pay for those services, okay? Changes can only be made to these plans in the middle of the year with a valid life event. Like I mentioned earlier with the dependent daycare flexible spending account, such life events or daycare changes. For example, if your daycare closed as a result of COVID or any other reason, and then it started back, that is considered daycare changes, a life event. For a healthcare flexible spending account, to change any of those in the middle of the year, your typical life events such as marriage, birth, adoption, or life events that you can use to make changes to your healthcare flexible spending account in the middle of the year. Next slide. So what happens after employment? So with the dependent daycare flexible spending account, you will not be allowed to continue your dependent daycare flexible spending account if you are in or terminate your employment with UNC Chapel Hill. COBRA is not an option for the dependent daycare flexible spending account. However, you can use those funds from your dependent daycare flexible spending account that was incurred through the end of the plan year. So even though you terminate, you still may be able to use those funds in your dependent daycare flexible spending account that you have incurred with those expenses you have incurred, that for the funds that you have in your account at the time that you are terminated, but you cannot continue to plan as a result of COBRA. Now with the healthcare flexible spending account, you do have the option to continue with COBRA. So if you've used all your money and you're wondering if you have to pay those funds back with the healthcare flexible spending account, you do not. So do not worry about having money taken out of your pay for funds from your healthcare flexible spending account that you may have used already that you have not contributed to. We do not, P&A does not ask for those funds back. However, if you have funds that is left in your healthcare flexible spending account and you do not continue your coverage through COBRA, those funds will be forfeited. So in order to continue using those funds in a healthcare flexible spending account, if you terminate from the university, you would need to enroll through COBRA to have access to those funds. Okay. So if you're planning to retire January 1st, choose COBRA. If you have funds or rollover funds, you don't owe any money, but you will still be able to use those funds if you elect healthcare flexible spending account through COBRA. Okay. Some important points that we want you and your employees to remember. When you go into your e-benefits portal to make any changes or any choices, make sure that you click save at the end of each choice, as well as the end of the enrollment, so that your choices are saved and you know that you are enrolled in those benefit plans. Also, we recommend that you print out the confirmation statement at the end of your enrollment or your changes to your benefits, because that is confirmation that you are enrolled. And if anything happens where at the end of the year and you do not see those deductions taken out of your pay, that confirmation statement is a proof that you actually enrolled in those benefits. Okay. The members that call into the call center to complete the enrollment will not receive the mail confirmation statement. So if you call into the North Carolina State Eligibility and Enrollment Center for enrollment, you will not receive the mail confirmation. Again, go back into your e-benefits portal and print out your confirmation statement once those changes have been made. And we ask that you please check your address in Connect, Carolina, and make sure it's correct, because if you change or if you update your benefits and you are receiving new ID cards, those ID cards will be mailed to your home of record address in Connect, Carolina. They will not be mailed to your business address or your mailing address. So make sure your home address is updated in order to receive your proper ID cards. So again, we have plenty of resources available for both you and your employees to assist you in your open enrollment decisions and process. At the Benefits and Leave Open Enrollment website at hr.unc/benefits/enrollment, you will find a whole wealth of North Carolina State Health Plan benefits, as well as UNC Chapel Hill benefits and information about all of benefits that we offer here at UNC Chapel Hill. We are also here available for you through a Zoom sessions. So we encourage your employees that if they need assistance or if they just have questions that they need answered during open enrollment, they will be able to sign up for 15-minute Zoom sessions with a consultant. That sign up link is also on our website, as well as the schedules of our consultants as well. And as always, they can call the Benefits Leave and Administration Support Center for assistance at 919-962-3071. The North Carolina State Health Plan also has available resources for both employees and consultants as well. You can call the State Health Plan's Eligibility and Enrollment Center at 855-859-0966 for assistance in enrolling in benefits or to get any of your open enrollment questions answered. Other resources, if you have not received any, you should be receiving them shortly. Postcards, mailers, websites from both the UNC Chapel Hill and the North Carolina State Health Plan, as well as this and other webinars to come. And again, if you or any of your employees experience any errors or system glitches during open enrollment, please call the Eligibility and Enrollment Hotline. They do record your conversation, not your conversations, but those complaints. So that can be verification for your employee that they actually did try to enroll and they had errors. And so it can help in the exception process for an employee who may not get enrolled because of some system error. So we ask that you send your questions, pre-send your questions into our office at benefits@unc.edu. We will try to answer those questions right now. Vincent, do we have those questions?
I know no one sent in any questions.
No one sending any questions. So I know we have some questions out there. If not, if you don't have any questions today, you can always send your questions into benefits@unc.edu. And we're here for you to answer any questions that you or your employees may have and help this open enrollment 22 be as easy as possible. So if we don't have any questions, this concludes our webinar today. We encourage you to encourage your employees to join our webinar tomorrow so that they can get all the information and questions answered that they need to be successful in open enrollment 2022.